He said, in America, the lower class votes Democrat, the middle class supports Republicans, the elites are all communists. You know, communism has always been a movement of the elites because it's always about centralizing wealth and power in very few hands. So the elites of America, they see communist China as a model. They see it as something to emulate. They see something to encourage and cooperate with and partner with and feed and nurture at the expense of the United States and the US Constitution.
Hey guys, we're here at the Worldview Weekend Conference and we're with Trevor Loudon. He is very, very well known for his work exposing Marxism, gave a fantastic speech. Trevor, thank you for being with us.
Look, it's great to be here, Alex. Always good to catch up with you.
Really appreciate it.
Great event, we've got to say.
It really is. And so your talk was fascinating. I think what was most interesting to me was the communist China angle, because what you did in your talk, you tied communist China to the unrest in the streets, to the economic destruction that's resulting from COVID. Tell us a little bit about China's strategy, what they're doing right now vis-a-vis the United States.
Well, see, you know, back in May 2019, President Trump put tariffs on Chinese goods. And the Xinhua news agency, the official Chinese communist paper, announced the Chinese response was to declare people's war on the United States. Now, what people's war means is all forms of warfare short of direct military confrontation. It means biological warfare. It means fomenting riots in your enemy's streets. And so you can trace the origins. I would say the COVID panic and the Black Lives Matter explosion on our streets can both be traced directly back to the Chinese, and I believe they were deliberately timed for election year to cause maximum problems for President Trump, to bring down the US economy and the US military budget, and of course destroy the president.
So talk a little bit about the links between communist China, their front groups, and ultimately the creation of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, well, look, in San Francisco and Boston, the Chinese have had for nearly 50 years now an organization called the Chinese Progressive Association. And it's sort of like an acorn. It does a lot of signing up register. It's a community organizers organization. And it works for the communist Chinese. And it's very hard to get elected to political office in either Boston or San Francisco without their support. Now, a few years ago, just as you started to see, when you saw the formation of Black Lives Matter, you saw the formation by the Chinese Progressive Association of a group called Asians for Black Lives. And this became a support group for Black Lives Matter and a liaison group between Black Lives Matter and the Chinese consulate in San Francisco. And you have people in there like Alex Tom, who was the head of the Chinese Progressive Association. On video, I've got him saying, I consult with the Chinese embassy regularly. I run my messaging past them. Now, this is the man who has been a friend of Alicia Garza, one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, since their college days in San Diego in the early 2000s. He has nurtured her organization. They have funded her group, Black Futures Project, and they've also they have sent delegations to communist China, and when those delegations have come back, they have gone out to Ferguson, Missouri to liaise with some of the communists out there, the pro-Chinese communists there, who were burning that city to the ground. So there's a very deep connection between Black Lives Matter, the Chinese, the Asians for Black Lives, the Chinese Progressive Association, and the Chinese Communist Party. Now, we know on the macro level, the Chinese Communist Party has been cheering on Black Lives Matter. They've been propagandizing to their benefit. But on the micro level, there is definitely deep ties between the Chinese consulate in San Francisco, Chinese Progressive Association, and Black Lives Matter. Alicia Garza has been a long-time associate of the Chinese Progressive Association, and she's heavily involved there, as is Patrice Cullors. But they also have ties to former East German communists. They have ties to Palestinian terrorists. But the Chinese are their main support group.
And one of the really weird things that we've seen is all these American elites, people like Bill Gates, just openly praising the dictatorship in China. What do we make of this? You know, on the one hand, we have American elites working with the Communist Chinese. On the other hand, we have Marxist rabble-rousers in the streets. What's the tactic? What is the overall objective, and how do we fight back?
Well, look, I believe the Chinese Communist Party is the model for the New World Order, for the globalists. Because as you say, it's a technocratic, authoritarian state, but there is still elements of business there. So, you know, Bill Gates, I think, fantasizes that he's going to be part of the elite of the world. He's going to run his businesses in conjunction with the communist leadership, and he's going to have complete control over the peasantry, who will be at his beck and command, and will be so grateful for his wise and benevolent leadership. You know, so you know, Whittaker Chambers, the former communist spy who returned to Christ and exposed the communist networks, he used to joke, and it was only half a joke. He said, in America, the lower class votes Democrat, the middle class supports Republicans, the elites are all communists. You know, communism has always been a movement of the elites because it's always about centralizing wealth and power in very few hands. So the elites of America, they see communist China as a model. They see it as something to emulate. They see something to encourage and cooperate with and partner with and feed and nurture at the expense of the United States and the US Constitution. So obviously, we got to defend it by defending the Constitution, and we have to get very serious about internal security again, and we have to start reinstituting loyalty oaths and government investigations into subversives, but most importantly, real penalties applied at every level of society to those who would betray this country. And I'm talking everyone from Bill Gates to the Black Lives Matter protesters, anybody who's trying to trash the Constitution to the benefit of our enemy, Communist China, has to feel the weight of punishment. That's the only way we're going to stop this.
Trevor, you have a new book, a relatively new book. Would you tell us a little bit about it? It's White House Reds. Tell us a little bit about what it's about.
White House Reds, it's available on my website, available through the JBS website too. White House Reds, look, all Christians know that there are various denominations of Christianity, right? There's Baptists, there's Catholics, there's Mennonites, there's Episcopalians. Well, the communists have denominations too. They have different brands, Trotskyists and Maoists and Stalinists and Democratic Socialists. So what's happened in the Democratic Party is all of these different denominations have their power bases in the leadership of the Democratic Party. And they ran various candidates. Like Amy Klobuchar came out of the Democratic Socialist Marxist strand. Julian Castro was out of the Communist Party strand. Joe Biden was out of the pro-Soviet strand. So what's happened, these different denominations have all taken power in the Democratic Party, and the book is exposing background, profiling 10 of the candidates who were running at the beginning of this year, and everyone was a Marxist. Everyone, including Joe Biden, including Amy Klobuchar, including little Pete Buttigieg. All of them are Marxists of one denomination or another. So the book is really about showing the very deep penetration of the Democratic Party to the highest levels, and the fact that they are now basically a communist party. And no matter who they put up, it's going to be a Marxist. There's no moderates ever going to become the candidate for the Democratic Party again.
That's a terrifying thought. Trevor, what's your website? How can people find you?
TrevorLoudon.com. Loudon is Loudon. So TrevorLoudon.com, my daily blog. And look, I welcome JBS supporters and new American readers to tune in. I think you'll find a lot of information there that you'll find compatible with your philosophical beliefs.
Excellent. Trevor, thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you for what you do. It's good to be comrades, brothers in arms.
God bless. Appreciate it.